So today is our celebration of All Saints' Day. Anybody have any thoughts on how they would describe a saint? How would you guys describe a saint? What is a saint, do you think? What qualities about a person might make them a saint? Simon? They're a follower of God. What might that mean? Anyone out there have any ideas on saints? What makes a good saint? To me, a good saint is someone whose life, actions maybe, or maybe just their way of being, reveal the love of God. And there are infinite ways that someone's life can reveal the love of God. And so there are infinite among us who are saints. This day we remember, we're going to head out to the Memorial Garden in just a little while and remember those who have come before us who have revealed God's love in our own lives. And we will also read the names of folks who have revealed the love of God to us in our lives. And revealing the love of God is pretty challenging at times. And so today we heard Jesus give us some warnings about what a life lived that reveals God's freeing love might hold in store for us, but also some promises, some blessings that life will also provide for us. So Jesus warned us that living a life that reveals God's love might, for those of us who already have a lot, who are well fed and don't hunger for food, it might mean that we find ourselves hungry at some point when we've awakened ourselves to those who are hungry around us and maybe give away enough of our food that we aren't as full as we used to be. Jesus warns us that for those of us who are rich, we might find that we need to give some stuff away. And that can be pretty hard. But Jesus also promises that as we're giving those things away and finding ourselves hungry and maybe finding ourselves with less than we need because we've given it to those who need it more around us, that at times in that cycle of living the love of God, we also will find ourselves being fed by those around us and being given what we need. So I want to read you a book that sort of, for me, is an excellent demonstration of what that cycle is like, that promise of living a life that reveals God's love in the world. So have any of you ever read the book, What is Given from the Heart?
No.
No? Well, I'm glad, because then you won't be bored while I'm reading it to you. And I've put myself in this chair so that maybe even grown-ups who have better eyesight than I could see the pictures. So this book is by Patricia McKisson. Okay. It was a rough few months for Mama and me. We were already poor, but we got poorer last April when Daddy went to sleep on the front porch and never woke up. Mama cried and cried because Daddy didn't have a suit to be buried in. Come June, we lost the farm and moved to a rundown shotgun house in the Bottoms. On Friday the 13th, it rained frogs. Everything flooded, and Smitty, my dog, disappeared. Misery loves company, Mama said, shaking her head as she swept water out the back door. I hugged her up close, the way I always did when she was sad or I was scared. Long as we have our health and strength, we're blessed, James Otis, Mama said, trying to sound brave. But things didn't get any better. We got an early snowfall in November, and Christmas was skimpy, but we made it through to the new year. Before I realized, February was upon us, with Valentine's Day just 2 weeks away. One Sunday, Reverend Dennis made an announcement during church services. Just as we always do, we'll be delivering love boxes to needy folk in our community, he said. Irene Temple and her little girl have lost everything in a fire. We must add them to our list. Next week, bring whatever you think might be useful to them. Remember, what is given from the heart reaches the heart. James, Otis, we need to help out, Mama said on the cold walk home. I came right back with, how are we going to do that, Mama? We don't have anything ourselves. Mama kept right on talking. Sister Bunch told me the daughter's name is Sarah. She's 7, 2 years younger than you. You can find a little bit of something for her, don't you think? I was not convinced. What do I have that a little girl would want? Now, said Mama, remember what Reverend Dennis said? What is given from the heart reaches the heart. That night, I lay warm and toasty under one of Mama's quilts. Still, it made me tremble to think about fire taking away what little we did have. What can I give Sarah to make up for all she's lost? I wondered. I considered the blue ribbon I'd won in the school spelling bee. Nah, the award was important to me, but it would mean nothing to her. I looked over at my beautiful sparkling rock, the one I'd found down by the creek. But how would that help Sarah? You can't eat a rock. Unable to come up with anything good, I pulled the covers over my head and drifted off to sleep. Come morning, I found Mama in the kitchen, busy sewing. I know if we had a fire, I would miss my aprons, Mama explained, so I've decided to make Mrs. Temple one. But Mama, you're using your white tablecloth, the only nice thing you have. James, Otis, I'm stitching with a loving heart. My hope is that this apron will give as much joy to Mrs. Temple as the tablecloth has given me. That made me study harder on what I could contribute. Maybe Sarah would like something to play with, like my whistle from Dexter Benson's birthday party. But my spit was all over it. What about my crayons? I drew so many pictures with them, though, even though the black, pink, and dark were missing. There was no way I could give her the others. I couldn't give used crayons. And I couldn't give her my pencil that was just a nub and not much eraser left either. As time flew toward Valentine's Day, I fretted more and more. I considered giving Sarah a puzzle. It didn't bother me that 2 pieces were missing, but it might bother her. That wouldn't do. Not even with a bow on it. And neither would my capeless Superman Halloween costume. Sorry, dry fingers. Then I remembered my book, Things That Roll. Mama had paid 10 cents for it at the resale shop. I read it every night until I'd memorized each word, and then I drew pictures of all the stuff that rolled. Sarah might enjoy my book, I thought, but maybe she didn't like trucks and marbles. Still, it got me to thinking. I gathered my crayons, my pencil, and some paper, and got busy. On the Sunday before Valentine's Day, we were off to church. Along the way, Mama told me, as usual, the trustees will deliver the love boxes to the homes of the needy, but Reverend Dennis has invited the Temples to receive theirs at Olive Chapel so they can meet the congregation. The church was full. Mama beamed as she carefully placed the apron in the box. When we presented the Temples with their love box, filled with all kinds of clothing, food, tools, and toys, Mrs. Temple was overcome with emotion. The congregation shouted, "Amen." Even so, Sarah seemed sad and afraid. She clung to her Mama's arm and hid her face. I walked over to where they were standing. "Hi, Sarah," I said, sounding cheery-like. "My name is James Otis, and I'm pleased to meet you." "Same to you," she answered, looking at her feet. "Here," I said, handing her my gift. I wrote it, drew the pictures, and put it together by myself, just for you. Sarah managed a smile as she stared at the book I'd made. Then, real slow-like, she read the cover. From My Heart to Your Heart by James Otis Petway. It's about a little girl named Sarah, and don't tell me, she said. I want to read about myself by myself. I can't believe it, she squealed, a book about me. Then she covered her mouth to catch a giggle. See, Seeing Sarah happy made me happy too. I laughed out loud. I put some hard words in so you can look them up. You sound like my teacher. Sarah pressed the book to her heart, closed her eyes, and whispered, "Thank you, James Otis. I will keep this book forever and ever." Walking home, Mama held my hand. "The Temples looked very grateful," she said. "I think we reached their hearts," I said. Mama nodded. "I'm proud of you, James Otis." "How come?" I asked. "'Cause you're you." In winter, night comes early. The sky was darkening and it had started to snow. I stuck my tongue out to catch a snowflake as Mama spun joyfully round and round. Suddenly, Mama stopped. "Look, there's something on our porch," she said. I rushed ahead, and there it was. A love box had been delivered to us. And our hearts rejoiced. Our hearts rejoiced. So what happened in that book? Yeah. They gave boxes to each other, that's right. So James Otis and his mom didn't have much, and so they sacrificed something each of them loved quite a lot, right? It was a sacrifice for James to think about how he could give something to Sarah, and then James Otis's mom sacrificed her beautiful tablecloth that she had loved so much to make an apron, right? So there was a little bit of woe. There was a little bit of grief, of sadness at giving these things away because they were very important, right? It's a big sacrifice. But then what happened when they gave them away?
They gave stuff to each other.
Yeah, the other family felt great joy, right? And when they got home, there was great joy waiting for them. It was that circle that I was talking about. The blessings and the woes lead to more blessings, lead to a little bit more woe as we get sort of filled up. It's a circle. It's hard to be right exactly where we need to be all the time. So I encourage you guys, as you go forward today, to think about who in your lives has revealed God's love to you, and how you guys might reveal God's love to other people. Amen.